Oh, what is the upskis, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GXGamerCast. We're on episode 132 of my little gaming show where once a week I just has to talk about video games, whether they're new video games that I'm playing today, old video games that I grew up with, it doesn't matter, video games. And today, we are talking about games that just kicked my ass. Talking about hard games. I feel like I've kind of kicked this year off in difficult fashion, and I'm going to discuss some of these games that have kicked my ass. I would say most of these games are more recent. I am not going to lie. I generally would stay away from hard video games in the early days of my life because money wasn't like, I was a kid. I didn't have a job and just money all around to buy games, so I had to pick and choose my games, and there is a story in here that explains why I didn't take chances on games that were very hard, because if I can't beat them, then I was like, what a waste of money. So we'll discuss all that stuff, but yeah, we're talking about hard games, so let me know what games kicked your ass throughout your gaming career and all that stuff. But before we discuss that, let us discuss what I've been up to over the last week or so. As I always encourage you, the viewer, the listener, let me know what y'all have been up to. What games are you playing right now? Who is diving into Avowed? Me, I'm into Avowed. I'll talk about it, but did you download it? Are you playing Avowed, man? Let me know. Let me know what you're playing right now. It doesn't matter what games you're playing, new, old. Let me know what you're into. And the more obscure, the better. I love recommendations, man. I love a game that I'm like, oh, nope, have not heard about that. Tell me about these games, y'all. There's so many games. Hit me with them. And that includes TV shows and movies as well. What are you watching? What are you binging? What new movies have you seen? Let me know as I let you know. Let's get in there. Oh, baby. Watched yet another Hayao Miyazaki film, and this one was a home run, the most recent, I do believe, of the Hayao Miyazaki films, and that is The Boy and the Heron. Oh my goodness, this was a trippy-ass movie, man. I was not expecting that. I wish I did some shrooms or something, because wow, what a weird, I think this might be the weirdest movie in the Hayao Miyazaki library. This thing is weird, and I loved it. It was awesome. Very weird. So it's like these freaking, the parakeets, the birds. It's a really, really weird story. I don't want to give away too much without, just get in there. If you like Hayao Miyazaki movies, you like anime, anything like that, this is a very, very fun movie. Very weird, there's even like a little bit of like Looney Tunes, like slapstick in there that I'm a Looney Tunes kid, man. I grew up on Looney Tunes. Love that shit. So this was I loved it. The heron dude was so fucking weird, man. Like, there's a heron and there's a man inside of the heron. It's a little bit creepy at times, man. It's strange. And I have to throw out that, well, two things. Dave Bautista is a voice in this movie. He is like the king of the birds, the parakeets or something. Freaking awesome. And so only one performance I didn't love, only because it just didn't fit the movie at all, and that's Christian Bale. Bale voices a character in the movie, and he just stands out like a sore thumb because he's doing his natural, like, British, I don't know where the fuck that dude's from, I think he's British, but he's doing that, and it really just kind of takes me out of the movie. I'm just like, why do we have a British guy here? Like, he's not supposed to be British, but anyway, he did the character well enough. But yeah, dude, this was an excellent movie. I loved it. I think it's a top 5 of my favorite Hayao Miyazaki movies. It's definitely in there. I really enjoyed this one. 8.5 out of 10, and goes without saying, gorgeous animation and phenomenal music. Just very weird. Just a weird movie. I really liked it. Definitely highly recommended. Go check that one out for sure. In terms of TV shows, still watching the Challenge 40, going through that, and I got into, since I finished Attack on Titan, I'm looking for something else, and while I was watching Attack on Titan, I noticed Invincible is back, baby, so I'm in there, Season 3. I have not watched the most recent episode, but I'm like one episode back, and oh my goodness, I like the direction we're going here with, the little Omni boy, oh buddy, I like where that is going. I'm not, again, for people that haven't seen it, I don't want to kind of spoil what's going on here, but I am, the last episode that I just watched, like, we're getting a little bit of rebellious nature out of this kid, and I'm just like, uh-oh, there could be some trouble right here. And I am really liking season 3 so far. Invincible is a fantastic show. I kind of want to rewatch the whole entire thing. We'll see, maybe, because they're not going to finish this season out until I think it's like mid-March, because they're releasing one episode every Thursday, which I don't love, but I understand, but it's fine. So maybe if I have enough time, I could rewatch all of Invincible, but that takes a lot of time, you know what I'm saying? But if you're watching Invincible right now, how you liking it? I'm loving it. I think it's awesome. Really like where we're going with this season so far. And what else we got? I think that's it. That's all I've been watching. Let's talk video games. All right, so a topic, a game that I will be discussing more in detail. We're going to do a little mini review of Sifu. We'll get into there in a little bit, but I went into Sifu after the recommendations. I mean, it was on my radar since it came out. It was, did that come out during COVID, like right at the tail end or so? It was a slower year, but I remember Sifu got a lot of attention. It's the concept of the game is so cool. It's basically a 3D action beat-em-up game, and every time you get defeated, you age, and you have to beat the game before you fucking die of old age. Very unique concept, so much so they're gonna make a movie out of it, and it's the John Wick director is going to be behind it. And now that I've played Sifu, I'm like, I can't wait for that movie. There are some fantastic cinematic moments in the game that I'm like, that's gonna transition so freaking nicely into movies. So that's gonna be fun. So we'll talk more in detail here in a little bit about Sifu, but I've been playing that and I beat it. So it's not a very long game. The homie Hutton, he's the one that played. He's like, I got through it in about 2 hours playing on the easy difficulty. I did not play it on the easy difficulty until I did. So we'll get into that in a moment. But what else have I been playing? I finally dived into Advance Wars. I have not played Advance Wars before. I've always been very curious. It's right up my alley. Grid-based, tactical, strategy game. I'm just like, man, I need that in my life. Fire Emblem, War Groove. I'm like, and this is kind of like this one was way before those games. Well, maybe not Fire Emblem, but regardless, this was a Game Boy Advance that came out way back then. I've been hearing about these games, I remember reading about them in the magazines. I'm like, man, that looks sweet. Again, I was just so one-track mind with my handhelds. All I wanted was Pokemon. I would rarely take a chance on any other games, and but when I did, they were generally really good. But sadly, didn't take a chance on Advance Wars until now. I got the reboot cape, and oh baby, I played like 10. I'm already like 12, 13 hours into that game already. Probably almost done the first Advance Wars game already, and I'm loving it. I love the art style. I love the charm. The music is delightful, and the gameplay is great. I mean, I just recently heard Adam on Remember the Game talking about it, and he was like, it was too easy. But honestly, I've had to like retry levels quite a few times. I wouldn't say it's like baby's first tactical grid-based thing, but yeah, man, there's a nice solid challenge there. I would admit, some levels are really, really easy. Some levels I've had some challenges with, but man, am I loving this game so far. Super, super fun. I'm, now that I've transitioned to Avowed, I will be, this is more of a back burner game. This is great for handheld. If I'm watching the challenge with my wife, I'll definitely be diving into this. If there's a big Leaf game on, I'll be watching the Leaf game, intermission, boom, slap on some Advance Wars. This game rules, man. It is so much fun. Don't miss out on the Reboot Camp collection thing there. It's I got it for sale. It was like $50. Highly recommended. Even for the full price, it is 2 games, so you get 2 full games here. It's a a strategy game. So like graphically, it's revamped. It looks nice. Like it's not cutting edge or anything. The story's not insane or anything, but it's really charming. It's nice and colorful. The music is good, and it looks like there's quite a bit of extras. Like I'm just going through the campaign right now, but there looks to be like a good amount of extra stuff to do. More maps. There's like multiplayer, which I'm not going to be getting into that or anything. But yeah, dude, this is yeah, I recommend Advance Wars so far. I'm loving it. Can't wait to get into the second game and get into some of these challenge levels. Yeah, I am super enjoying Advance Wars. So check that one out, and I'll be continuing to play that. And let's talk Avowed. Oh my goodness. So this game, yeah, basically, so as much as I was loving Advance Wars, I was like, all right, Avowed is out. And I wanted to wait just like kind of like a week or something, just kind of let it air out, make sure if there's any bugs or any glitches, that shit's going to get fixed up. And obviously you wanted to see the reviews and what everything is. And so far so good, man. Like the reviews holding strong at like an 80, 81 on Metacritic, and that's good enough for me, man. I was like, hell yeah. I got on the hype train late for Avowed and really didn't know much about it. I didn't really know much about it until I got into the game. I was just like, yeah, it's Obsidian. It's gonna be fun. And dude, this is freaking awesome so far. I'm about 13 hours in, and I can't put it down. I am just playing and having a blast. This game is really, really fun. It's not a whole lot different from, like, it really just feels like Skyrim mixed with a little bit of the Outer Worlds, mixed with a little bit of Fallout, and it's just delightful, man. The combat is, oh man, I'm having a lot of fun with these combinations, because you can like dual wield whatever you want. Like right now I'm doing, I got a pistol and this like magical frost axe, and I am just hacking away and shooting. It's like, and then I got the magic combo with like just like shooting off the magic is so much fun. And damn, dude, like, oh, the way that like in Skyrim, the kind of the meme is like every time you replay Skyrim, you kind of end up just going back to that stealth archer build because it's just so fun. Like I'm guilty of that. I was like, oh, this time I'm gonna do dual wield this and magic that, and then I just end up doing stealth because it's just so effective and so freaking good. And in Avowed, I must say the magic just feels a lot better than it did in Skyrim. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely do, looks like I'm gonna be doing a review and everything like that for Avowed, and we'll get more into that and everything. But right now, first like 12-15 hours, loving it. Story isn't like blowing me away, but I'm there. I'm having a good time. Like I just had like a bunch of side quests I was doing. It's a big action open world RPG, and yeah, man, it is pretty fucking good, I must say. I'm really having a good time here, and yeah, can't wait to talk more Avowed, and I can't wait to go play some more of it. So yeah, that's all I've been doing. So let me know if you've been diving into Avowed. What do you think of the game so far? I'm really into it. This is my kind of game, and this is exactly what Daddy ordered, baby. I must say, that same thing with Advance Wars. I've been craving a strategy game, and I've been craving a Fallout-style game, you know what I'm saying? Because Starfield didn't hit for me. It just didn't. I played 50 hours of it, and I was just like, it was so boring. And I know what people say, oh, New Game Plus, it gets good when you get to 3,000 hours, I swear. And I'm like, I'm not there for that, dog. I'm just not there for that. I know, I hear Greg Miller all the time. He's on, like, Play 5, and he, like, still, crazy things are happening. I'm like, that sounds amazing, but you couldn't get me engaged in the first 50 fucking hours. I'm out of here, bro. Nope. And I keep thinking about going back to it, because it's a game that I personally was like, I can easily just get back in there. Like, that's not a game that I think was doing anything crazy. So even the story was just like, whatever. But this, so far, I am enjoying Avowed way more than Starfield. So that's great news. And Xbox, man, hey, good work right now, man. You know, Indiana Jones was way better than I expected. Avowed so far, I'm having a blast. So, hey, Xbox, well done so far, and let me know if you're playing Avowed, and let's talk about getting our asses kicked in some hard-ass video games. Let's do it, baby. Oh man, who else is traumatized by that Lion King music? The first game on this list is one of the earliest games that I played as a child, and I imagine anyone that grew up with a Super Nintendo, maybe watched a Disney movie when they were kids, you might have had the Lion King on Super Nintendo, and you more than likely never got past, I think it's the second level, like me. I never got past that fucking stupid level. Oh my goodness. Well, I will shout out, that is one of the most gorgeous looking games. That game, I don't even know how that existed. Why does that game look so freaking good? Anyway, that game is so freaking hard, man. I could never get past the... Oh, what is it? The monkeys that are throwing you around? That fucking shit is ridiculous. The ostrich riding the back of that fucking thing is out of control. Those hippopotamuses. Oh my goodness, man. That was one of the hardest levels I have ever played, and I will admit, I have never revisited that game since it traumatized me as a child. I loved The Lion King as a kid. Damn right, man. That was the shit. I watched the shit out of that movie, and that game just, yeah. After getting pummeled by that game, I didn't play it very much after that, and didn't get very far in that game. But, whew, that shit was ridiculous, man. And that was, me getting an early taste of that Nintendo hard, which was getting phased out around that time. Games were starting to get longer, but Lion King wasn't a very long game, so they don't want the kids, mom just bought the $50 new game, and Timmy over here just beat it in fucking 38 minutes. Now he's fucking flipping out, and mom, you suck and I hate you, so what the hell? We don't want that happening, right? So let's make it so difficult that maybe Timmy just punches holes in the wall and breaks a controller over his knee or some shit instead of, I don't know. But shit, bro, that level was out of control, and it was just, I will admit, I just recently listened to a Remember the Game episode on The Lion King, and that just brought back a flood of horrible memories. And, that game was hella inconsistent with the jumps, man. From one jump to the next, the platform is completely shifted as to what you can and cannot land on, and what part of the hippo tail am I supposed to grab, and all that shit. That game was way too hard for children, and I know it's been, I don't know, there's re-releases of the game, and you can pick the stages and you can get through it, but I'm not in any rush to beat that game. It's not something I really think of ever, honestly. It didn't come to my mind until I listened or saw that he did an episode. I'm like, holy shit, I remember playing that game, and yeah, I remember getting pummeled by that stupid freaking level in The Lion King on Super Nintendo. So that is the first one we're starting with. So let's slide now to Sifu. Let's do a quick little review here on that game. It was hard, so I started Sifu on the regular difficulty that it wanted me to, and I got my ass kicked. Oh yeah, so this game is sweet. It's, like I said, it's an action kind of beat 'em up thing. You're doing kung fu and shit like that, and every time you go down, you age. And on the normal difficulty, I don't know, it's kind of hard to gauge how much you age for each death. Sometimes I age 1 year. Sometimes I age 5 years. I'm like, whoa, okay. Sometimes it's 3 years. And I was like, okay. So after the first level, I was 40 years old. I was getting my ass kicked after the first level. But I'm learning the mechanics. And the mechanics are tricky. So you're doing your combos, and you'll be learning different combos. You have a sweep attack, which is just as quick as going up down on the stick and hitting square or triangle. You do a little sweep attack, and similar up down square, you do a little push attack, and if you push them close enough to an object, they'll slam into the wall and it'll slow them down and shit. You're building up a little meter that you can pull off a special move that can lock in on specific parts of a person's body. You can attack their eyes, their knees, something like that. And of course you are progressing, you're leveling up your person, but you only can gain so much experience per level, and you have to use that experience to level up certain things, and they're not permanent, your unlocks, unless you make them permanent. So you have to put in, so you can unlock something for, say, 1,000 XP, but if you want to make it permanent, you got to spend 3,000 XP to make it permanent throughout the rest of the game, and it'll stay there forever. So really cool mechanic, and you pick and choose which things you want. There's a huge list of things to choose from. Some of them are a lot more expensive, and some of them are really cheap. As low as 500 XP will unlock a move, and so much as to 1,500 XP to unlock a certain move. And then there's like the dodging mechanics. So you have your classic dodge. You can just, whoa, I'm out of there. I'm moving out of the way. That's fine. You could do that, and you're not gonna build up a lot of the. You gotta knock down their like parry meter, and if you take that out, you can do a special move and shit. So it's better if you can dodge, block, and parry. That's your bread and butter, especially on the harder difficulties. That's how you take down the stronger enemies and shit. But it's hard, man. It's difficult. And I was trying my best. I tapped out around, I think I was only on the 3rd level. It was the lady with the scythe thing. She had like 2 sticks and she's swinging them around like a crazy. And I just couldn't. So there's like, I didn't like fully understand the mechanic, I guess. There's like, so you have like your parry, your block button. You just hold the what do you call R1 or left bumper. Did I play this on Xbox? I don't remember. I think I did. No, I think I played it on PlayStation, but you do that, and but you can also use you hold the block button, and then you can use your analog stick to block up, down, left, or right, and you go down to like jump over low attacks, you duck to dodge high attacks. It's just like kind of a lot, and people, you get swarmed sometimes by enemies, like 5 or 6 people on you at the same time. They're throwing a whole bunch of shit, so I just got like overwhelmed as to like, oh shit, should I just dodge? Should I just block? What should I do? And you can't just sit there and block because they'll break through it and then you're a fucking free target. So it's definitely, it's a very fun mechanic. I had a blast playing with it. It's just hard to master, that's all. As is Kung Fu. So what I would recommend to do with the game, which the game doesn't, is I would start on the easiest difficulty and work your way up. Don't start on the medium difficulty because I've had 2 accounts of this. Myself, I ended up not having a lot of fun throughout the game on the normal difficulty because it was just too much. Like, I was just getting overwhelmed. I'm getting aged too fast. I getting, like, one punch is just doing a huge amount of damage, and so on and so forth. So once I went down to the easy difficulty, I had more opportunity to learn the mechanics a little bit. I wasn't just getting my ass kicked. So that's how I would progress through the game. It seemed it's a lot better. Another friend of mine at work, he played it, same problem. Except he just gave up. Like, the game just turned him off completely. He's like, whoa, this is a little bit ridiculous, too hard. And I was like, yeah, if you go down to just like the easier difficulty, it's a lot more manageable. It's not so overwhelming. So that's what I would recommend if you want to get into Sifu. Is delightful game, nice art style to it. I love the IP of the game. Like, you're just this fucking, it's very John Wick. You're just getting revenge on these people, and there's like 4 or 5 bosses you got to take down, and each one's a level. Very fun. It's arcadey in that way. Their levels are very replayable. They got different paths and shortcuts, things to find, secret little bosses to fight. So very replayable levels. But I got burnt out with that because I got to the point where I was halfway through on my normal difficulty run, and I was like, shit, I'm like 35 years old, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to restart and get better at the first level and better at the second level, and it was just gonna be a big grind. And I was 8 hours in at that point, and I was like, all right, I'm going easy mode. Let's see what's up. And I walked through the game in 2 hours. One sitting, right through the whole game. Had a blast. It was awesome. I was like, oh, man, that was so fun. And there are some awesome cinematic moments in the game, like cinematic fights. There's like this big hallway you go down, and it goes side-scrolling mode, and you're just fucking fighting off a hallway of enemies. Very awesome. And my personal favorite was you get into this dark room, and there's just this kind of circle with a light beam coming down, and you're fighting enemies in there, and the rain is coming down. I'm like, oh, I cannot wait to see them translate that part of the game into the movie. Well, they better, because I'm like, dude, come on, that's so cinematic, looks so sick, kung fu and shit. But yeah, I think Sifu is a great game. I'd hit it with an 8 out of 10. It's tricky, but just like Kung Fu, if you have the discipline with it and you kind of work your way up, oh yeah, I could have seen myself, no problem, like working I'm really not in the mood anymore for hard games. I keep playing hard games, and I'm like, oh man, I need some easy games. So that's why I started playing Advance Wars. I'm like, I need some simple, something that doesn't make me go, oh my goodness, what am I doing to myself? I'm stressing myself out for no reason. But Sifu on the easy difficulty, I had a blast. On the medium difficulty, I was like, all right, this is a little difficult, not having a blast, but yeah, man, I would recommend Sifu. Check it out. Sadly, the developer of this game, they're not doing like a Sifu 2 right away. They're doing like a soccer game or something, which I'm all there for. I'm all with this developer now, so good job on Sifu. And yeah, they crack into this list. It was a tough-ass game, and if I continued onward and started going at, like, there's more difficulties, and if I continued to ramp up, oh my goodness, yeah, this would most certainly be one of the hardest games if I continued on with it. But yeah, gotta give Sifu a little shout out right there. Let's go back to the Super Nintendo with another game that kicked my ass as a kid, and rightfully so. Even when I replayed it in my teenage years, this game still kicked my ass, and that game is Super Star Wars. Holy jumpin'. One of the hardest trilogy of games on the Super Nintendo. The homie Billy, that dude went through, I don't know if he beat all of them. I know he probably did. He is ridiculous at these games, but ridiculously hard, man. I remember, this is another one of these games that I remember early on playing, and I love the first level. I love that first level as a kid. You're just blasting these fucking green enemies, and you get the upgrade for the blaster. You're just shooting these big fucking bombs, and then you fight the sandworm. I thought that first level was the whole game. I was like, that was an experience for me as a kid. I was like, holy moly, I shot all those dudes and I fought off that giant sandworm. And it took me dozens of tries to get through that first level alone as a 4-year-old kid. But that first level was so fun. And then you do the freaking driving thing, which, oh man, that level confused the hell out of, like, our whole entire family. We're like, I can't tell if we're getting closer to our objective or not. I don't know what's going on. It seems like it's not getting any closer. But that was the cool Mode 7 or whatever it was called. And yeah, that was a hard level as well to get to. And then when you get to the sand destroyer or whatever the fuck that thing's called and you're climbing up it, that's where child me and teenage me tapped out. Could not get any further in that game. I suck at platforming, and that level is just relentless. If you make one mistake, all the way the fuck back down, and I hate that shit. That is my number one hate in level design and platformers, where you're making me climb up this ginormous tower, and if I make one fucking mistake, I fall all the way back down, and I hate that shit. So, Super Star Wars, that whole entire trilogy, the first game's the easiest one, and that game is ridiculous. They just get even harder and harder. Like, no thank you. I will cherish just, like, how cool that first level or two was as a kid, but holy crap, if you got through those Star Wars games, like, congratulations. Those are some seriously hard fucking games. Alright, let's talk about a game that I actually beat. Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. Holy jumpin'. I knew that game was going to be hard going in, because I've heard tons about Senator Armstrong. And let me tell you, he's not the only motherfucker in that game that is hard. Holy shit, every boss in that game was ridiculous, man. The Monsoon body double, I remember that thing was a fucking piece of shit. There's like I don't remember his name. Well, maybe I do. No, I don't. But there's a guy you fight, like, out in this wasteland. It's so badass. That game is incredibly badass, I must say. Super underrated as well, I would say. I just played it last year and beat it, and, I had a blast with it, but I literally almost tapped out on the first boss, because that first boss was just like, it was not fucking around. It was like, nope, you're right, you're in the fire, bitch. Like, you get up to our level or not. We're not going to ease you into this. And I was like, oh my god, what am I doing? If this was today, I would have probably quit, because I'm just like, no, I'm just not in the mood to just get obliterated and have years of my life shaved off from stress of fucking gaming. So, no. But, dude, that game is super hard. One of the hardest action, of that style. Bayonetta, Devil May Cry. We'll talk about Devil May Cry a little later on this list. But this one was tough. But I can't get over it. I have to talk about it every time I talk about Metal Gear Rising. That freaking mechanic of the katana slicing. You can slice and dice your enemies up in any way you want. Chop their feet up, chop their heads off, slice them down, right down the middle, vertically. It's so much freaking fun, but it is incredibly tough. And Senator Armstrong is as tough as they say. That guy was hard as hell, but good luck even getting to him, man. If you got to Senator Armstrong, congratulations. If you beat him, congratulations. And that goes to me, because I beat his ass. And he was hard, man. He was super hard. Alright, so you're probably wondering, where's the Souls games at? I got you covered, homie. Here comes Bloodborne coming in hot. Oh my goodness. So I will admit, I got into the Souls. I was there for Demon Souls on PS3 when it came out. I got it that Christmas, and it kicked my ass. I tapped out in, like, the lava world. I got lost in there, died, like, super late into the level, had no idea where it was, and that was that. Same thing with Dark Souls. I bought Dark Souls, and actually a few friends of mine bought Dark Souls, and we all got our asses kicked by that game as well. So once Bloodborne came out, Dark Souls 2 came and went. Dark Souls 3 was coming out, and I had no interest in those games. Then Bloodborne hit, and man, that game just caught my attention. I said, you know what? I'm gonna try, and I am going to use a guide. Damn it, I'm gonna use a guide, and I did. Thank you, VatiVidya. No, not VatiVidya. Who is it? Fightin' Cowboy. Fightin' Cowboy is my Souls master. He taught me how to play Souls, and I don't think there's anything wrong with having someone who knows how to play these games. Because once you learn, like, that's what I would recommend. If you want to get into a Souls game, like, pick one of them. It doesn't matter. Don't pick Elden Ring. Even you can pick Elden Ring as your first one, but if you want one, don't use a guide for Elden Ring, because it's just way too big. You'll get lost. You'll get overwhelmed and lost. I would recommend, like, any of the starter ones. Demon Souls Remake. You can start on Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne. You can start on any one of those. But if you're new to it and you really want to give them a try, don't be afraid to use a guide and go with Fightin' Cowboy, because he explains the mechanics of the game. He will explain everything to you. He'll tell you how to get everything. He'll explain the stats and how everything works. So that was a big bonus, but the game was still incredibly difficult to get through, even with the guide. With the guide, it was still very hard. You still got to do the thing. Like, yeah, he'll give you tips and tricks, but you still got to do the fucking thing. And to do the fucking thing in Bloodborne was very hard, man. Some bosses went down easier than others. Like, some I was very intimidated by, like the Vicor Alma, that big fucking nasty church creature thing. She was horrifying. I can't remember the dude's name, but he had, like, 2 elemental attack, like 2 weapons on a rooftop or something. That guy gave me major trouble. I remember he whooped my ass so many times. Father Gascoigne, like, come on, and just the regular enemies. The beginning of Bloodborne is very difficult. Holy shit, like, you just get thrown into that town. There's townsfolk everywhere. And that first big motherfucker with the big butcher sword thing, that dude was ruthless at the beginning of the game. But it's so great because Bloodborne's such a phenomenal game. You get back to that area later and you're like fucking 2-shotting that piece of shit. You're wiping out that whole village. Like, it's just a blast. And but man, my first Souls experience was very, very difficult, but I loved it. Once I learned the mechanics, and it was the things in, like, Dark Souls 1 and Demon Souls, like the little traps, getting knocked off of a platform, and even Bloodborne has that kind of stuff, but it was way more, like, it was way sinister. There's a trap in Bloodborne where it's like, you see a log, and you're like, haha, idiot, and you hit the log trap, but then it knocks you down into, like, a pit, and you're just like, damn, dude, they double dipped on the trap, and they got me good. So yeah, sometimes that shit gets a little bit annoying, but regardless, Bloodborne, of course, that game was very hard. I loved it though. I thought it was incredibly fun balance, and Bloodborne's probably, I don't know, that's the one I recommend to try first. It's more fast. It's more about dodging, and it's forgiving in a way that it's like, it's fine if you take a hit, because they have the mechanic that if you hit them back, you'll get some health back. The Dark Souls games and Demon Souls are way more slow-paced, more defense-focused. Bloodborne, way more fast-paced, chaotic. That's why it got me in there, and I was like, damn, I love this shit. So, yeah, just a little recommendation there if you're trying and struggling to get into the Souls games, and you're tired of hearing about how amazing they are and you want to get in there. Use a guide, homie. Do it. All right, let's talk about the most, well, is it the most recent game? I mean, Sifu is technically the most recent game, but the most other recent game is Nine Souls. Just did a review on that game there, so you can go there and listen to why that game was so hard. But yeah, it's a hell of a game, man. It really wore me down. That's why I'm, like, so exhausted, with hard games right now. That game really took a bite out of me, because every single boss in that game is a grind. At least it was for me. You know, I'm not amazing at these games, but it's an awesome game. You know, don't get me wrong, the review's there, so you can explain how much I love the game and everything. It's just by the end of it, I was so worn down by the difficulty of the bosses, and that final boss just wanted so much out of me. I tapped out. I said, I can't give it to you. I'm too tired. I just holy jumping. But what a great adventure. You know, very Hollow Knight-esque, and I had a blast with it, but it is incredibly tough. If you played Hollow Knight, then I would say, yeah, you were definitely worthy to give this one a shot. Hollow Knight is a little later on, but goddamn, 9 souls, bro. It did not fuck around. I didn't expect it to be that hard. Like, I heard the comparison of Sekiro mixed with Hollow Knight, and I was like, damn, those are two very difficult games. And yeah, man, it's definitely up there for me. I wasn't able to defeat it, but holy shit, yeah, that game is hard. Up next, we're going to the PS2, and I was thinking back to the PS2. I was like, there was like some hard moments in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, but I couldn't really put it as like one of the hardest games I ever played. But I will just shout out that fucking stupid broken ass mission in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, the little RC airplane, which is legitimately broken on PS2, man. You cannot beat it without cheats, which, you know, until I got internet, I didn't figure that out. So I'm sitting there as an internetless kid getting on this level, and I'm like, I don't think it's fucking humanly possible. And yeah, that's where my GTA San Andreas gameplay ended for me back when I originally played it. I didn't actually get to beat that game until years and years later when I found out that fucking mission was glitched. So fuck that mission. But overall, you know, there are some hard missions actually in San Andreas, but it's not on this list, but just a little shout out. But the game that is on this list that is from the PS2 is Jak 2. Holy jumping. That game stumped me so many freaking times. Now, this was when I was, I don't know, maybe 10 or something like that when I got Jak 2. So I was still coming into becoming a gamer. I wouldn't say I was a hardcore gamer yet. Like, I was gaming, but I wasn't very good at games yet. Probably not. I wouldn't say I got good at gaming or became a hardcore gamer until the 360 era. So here, I'm still pretty new to it, and I have not revisited Jak 2 since I haven't even beaten that game. I couldn't beat the final boss even when I revisited that game, my original save file back in the day. That's as far as I got to the final boss, and I couldn't do it. Even with internet's help, I was like, I can't do this. This boss is fucking ridiculous. So I really would like to replay it, but I'm absolutely terrified because all I hear is game didn't age very well. It is hard. Like, I'm happy that I've heard numerous other YouTube channels, podcasts, a bunch of other people are like, yeah, dude, Jak 2 was fucking hard. And so many things. There's like a forest level with the invisible enemies. That was some fucking bullshit. There's like a mini, I don't know if it's a mini game, but basically you're just hitting the face buttons. And in that fucking old lady's little hut cabin thing with the parrot that talks or something, and the fucking like X triangle squares flying up, and I don't know if I was so bad at that or if it was just really, really hard, but I remember as a kid I struggled so freaking much with that part of the game as well, and I felt like every other mission I got stumped. Like, holy fuck, like there's just a million freaking troops coming after me, they're shooting me from all over the place. I remember that first like level I had a ton of trouble with. I remember like when we got our PS2 for Christmas, Jak 2 was one of the first games I got, and we didn't have any memory cards. That was just a big, like, whoops. Well, we didn't, you know, we're all pretty new to the gaming world. Even, you know, my dad's like, oh, what the fuck is a memory card? So, yeah, we didn't have memory cards for our PS2 on Christmas. So we're just playing games, and fuck, I was like, when I finally got through that, there's like that chase through the factory or whatever, and the guy's chasing you, like Fraxis or whatever his name is, Baron Fraxis or something, and he's chasing you with a big tank. And I remember I finally got through that area, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have a fucking memory card, I'm gonna have to do this all over again. And I did, and then again and again and again. Oh my god, that game is hard, man. And yeah, that's one I had it downloaded on my PlayStation for years now, and I'm just like, I don't know if I want to go back. I like Jak 1 so much more now. Like, and now I'm gonna have to deal with that. I didn't have to deal with that originally. I just went to Jak 2. I saw the cover. I was like, that's sick. I want that for Christmas. And I got it for Christmas. and I never played Jak 1. So now I have, and now I got to deal with the transition. So they completely changed what the game was from Jak 1 to 2. They went more open world, more adulty, more teenagey, and yeah, it worked for me. And so one day I'll revisit Jak 2, and I'll find out if it really is as hard as I remember, and if I can fucking beat that game. That's gonna be one, so we'll see. But Jak 2, that game was hella hard. I was on that game for like years, I remember. I wasn't like every day playing it. Like I'd get fucking stuck on a level, go play Grand Theft Auto for a few months, and maybe play Spanish Yellow 3 or something and come back to it. But man, I was on and off that game for years. I probably moved in like 3 different houses. Crazy. That game was a part of my life. All right. Let's move. Oh, we got another PS2 game right now. It's Devil May Cry 3. So this is the game that started making me... This is the one that kind of kept me away from hard games for a while. So I bought this game. This is one of the first games I ever bought with my own money. I remember I picked it up. I was at a mall when I first moved to this place that I'm living. And, excuse me, I went to the mall and I was like, oh, I saw Devil May Cry 3. And the cover of that game just looks so sick. You're like, oh, Dante's there, looking badass, white hair, big sword. I'm like, I need that. And it was used, so I probably got it for a reasonable price. And I went home super excited to play this game, and I couldn't get past like the second freaking... I barely got through the first level. Holy shit, this game is hard. Oh my goodness. So... First level, like, I love the opening of the game. I'll never forget it. How awesome, Dante in this decrepit fucking house, eating pizza, being a badass, then you get attacked by freaking demons, and you fucking Dante being so cool with his guns and flashiness. Oh, I loved it, and I wanted to play so much more. I wanted to experience more of Devil May Cry 3, but it was so fucking hard. I think it's there's like a giant flying like fucking centipede boss or something. I believe that's where I couldn't get through the game anymore. And the game was ridiculous. Like, the more, like, I want to buy health. I want to refill my health, please. But every time you buy health, it gets way more expensive. So by like the first level, I purchased health like 3 times. And now it's so expensive, I can't buy health no more. And I'm just getting devastated. So I remember I let 2 of my friends borrow it. I let one friend borrow it. And within like 2 days, he gave it back to me. I'm like, oh, too hard, eh? He's like, no, I beat it. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, how'd you beat that? I was like, no way. He's like, yeah, it wasn't too bad. I was like, that's fucking bullshit. Gave it to another friend. He's back in a couple days. I'm like, did you beat it? He's like, yeah, beat it, no problem. I was like, what the fuck, dude? So that's when I was like, all right, I'm not good at games. And I've not gone back to Devil May Cry 3. Probably never will. I don't really see myself doing that. But that game is notoriously hard. Like, it is legitimately fucking ridiculous. And I even had the Dante's Awakening version, I believe it is, which was, like, they nerfed it. They made it easier. That's the easier version, and it still destroyed me. Like, insane. And don't even get me started on the Japanese version. Get the fuck out of here. Their regular difficulty is hard in North America. So the Japanese people over there, ridiculous. Like, I don't even get it. That game whooped my ass. I could probably beat it now, but I don't want it. I don't want it anymore. So Devil May Cry 3, fuck you. And you made me waste money, and you made me terrified of, if I ever heard that the game was hard, I just stayed away from it. Because I'm like, I don't want to waste money on a game that I can't even get past the first level on. So that is why I stayed away from hard games. We can blame Devil May Cry 3. Back to the Super Nintendo. Let's talk Contra. Not the first one, but Contra 3. Alien Wars, I think it is. Snap, dog. I remember paying a pretty penny to get a copy of Contra 3 when I was in my retro gaming phase. I still have it. I have that copy of it right now. It was like $45 or $55 or something like that. And that was an expensive Super Nintendo game. And it, like, for something that's not Final Fantasy, it was Contra. Like, Contra's loved, but that was expensive, and I wanted to play Contra, and I heard Alien Wars, aside from the original, is the best one, and probably the hardest. Holy shit. So I remember I picked this up at one of my local fave shops that I go to all the time, buying retro games, and we bought this, and we used to go there, buy a game, then we'd go back and play it, generally at one of our houses. I remember one time my homie Billy, he bought Shaq Fu, and we went right back to his house and played it, and we had a blast. Shaq Fu was fun. So bad it was good, like, for us. Anyway, I picked this one up, we went and played it together, and I will admit I was 1,000% holding the homie Billy back. He was way better. I was dying. I was losing us all of our lives, man. I was terrible. The game is hard as shit. I don't think we got past the aerial level where you're jumping on fucking, like, helicopters and fucking Harrier jets and you're dodging and jumping on missiles and shit. The game is out of control awesome. Except for, like, the top-down weird level. That level can go fuck itself. I hated that. But outside of that, Contra is super fun. I wish I can get through it, but I'm pretty sure we had the lives and all the extra lives you can get. Still, I suck. So I'm not good at those kind of games, man. I'm just not. Definitely not, like, right out of the gate like my homie Billy is. Like, he's just a master of those kind of things. But I don't know, man. I can't get through that game, but that game was fucking hard. Holy shit. And I guess, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I'll shout out Reloaded. I believe that's the name of the game. I played it on Sega Saturn as a kid with my dad. Kind of similar to Contra, except it's all that top-down 3D, or a top-down view in a Contra style, but it's better than Contra 3. It looked a lot better, but that game was fucking hard as well. My dad and I couldn't get to... Once we got down into the sewers with the Wraiths, that was it. Couldn't get further than that, and that was the third level. So, another game that was incredibly difficult as a kid, and yeah, I was holding my dad back, and he probably could have beat it if he didn't play with a 5-year-old. So, there you go. We move on. Let's talk about Super Meat Boy. Oh, buddy, this is I would give it the hardest platformer that I've beaten. There's a platformer higher, but Super Meat Boy, all said and done, like, if you tried to collect the Band-Aids and all the extra shit, I wasn't able to do that. I could barely beat the fucking game, and I was like, oh no, I am not gonna do the extra shit, because I was like, I'm not dying at fucking 15 years old, or ever how old I was when I played Super Meat Boy, but that game has stuck with me, man. Super Meat Boy is one of the indie games that really made me understand and appreciate indie games, because, like, when I played that, I was like, this is some of the tightest fucking... I was like, this is tighter than Mario. Like, the controls in Super Meat Boy are just so precise, and they need to be, because the jumps, the things they make you do in Super Meat Boy are so precise, but oh my god, not once could I get mad at the design of the game, or, you know, it was always my own fault. Like, I didn't quite get all of that jump, didn't quite make it, and the best part of the game, outside of the awesome little meat sounds that you make, because you're just a wad of meat fucking flying around and shit, the replay. When you finally beat the level, it shows you all your deaths, all your failures, and it's just well, for me, it was always a huge wall of meat flying in. You just walk, there goes half of them, they're gone after the first buzzsaw. Oh shit, there goes half of them, there goes another half, they're gone from that buzzsaw. And then you see the one lonely homie, the one meat man who makes it to the end. So fucking good. I am shocked there has not been a Super Meat Boy 2. I love Super Meat Boy. That game is awesome. Really need to get to Celeste. I have still yet to play Celeste, and I was gonna get to it like really like soon, but now I'm gonna push it back because I am just not in the mood for a hard game, and I know how hard Celeste is. So I'll be waiting on that one. Maybe on the next list, Celeste will be on the hardest games list. But Super Meat Boy, so freaking hard, but I loved it. Oh my goodness, I love Super Meat Boy so freaking much. All right, next on the list, we got, now we're getting real. All right, let's talk Elden Ring. Elden Ring, another game that technically beat me, not the base game Elden Ring. I beat that piece of shit Elden Beast. I fucking hated it, but I beat it. But, Shadow of the Erdtree, final boss, not going to say who it is. I couldn't beat you. I have not gone back since there was an update making them a little bit easier. I have not gone back there. I know I could beat them. It's just my strategy became too tedious. I ran out of stuff, and I had to go out and go grind and get whatever I needed for the fight, for the particular strategy I was going for. I don't remember what it was anymore, but I was like, all right, I'm over it, and I'm just going to let you win. That's fine. And it was a great fight, man. It really was a great fight. I didn't want to stop. I ran out of opportunities. Like, I tried like 50, maybe over 100 times. I don't know how many times I tried fighting that guy, but I never wanted to give up until the tediousness of the grind got to me. But I love that fight. It was excellent. It's extremely difficult, and you beat me, dog. You beat me. But all in all, dude, it's not just like, have you heard about Melania? Yeah. Not to brag, but I am gonna brag. Humble brag. I beat her on my first try. Yes, I used the River of Blood katana. Yes, I used the fucking Mimic tier. have to, man. How else are you going to beat that bitch? But yeah, I beat her on my first try. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. I was extremely lucky. I was very well prepared. I didn't watch any videos or anything. All I heard was about her attack, whatever that outrageous attack. When I fought her, I didn't even know she was healing herself. I wasn't even aware of that. That probably helped my mentality in that fight a lot. No, just not even realizing that, not even picking up on that fact probably helped me out a ton. And whenever she went up for that attack, I got as far away from her as possible, stayed way the hell back, just because I know how long that combo is, and I just stayed the fuck away from her. I was very defensive, and that's how I got through her. But, dude, the dragons in that fucking game are ridiculous. There's so many fights. There's, like, I know the one that everyone complains about. There's, like, the god skin, the 2-on-1 fight or whatever, the gank fight. I don't remember it, honestly. I know I did it. I didn't have trouble with it because, at that point I was probably just slaughtering the game with the Rivers of Blood katana, Mimic tier, fully upgraded, no shame. Like, I don't care. I played through the first half of the game as a power build, strength build, and I just wanted to explore other things. I had like 7 katanas. I'm like, I love katanas. They're so cool. I've never done a dex build. And just so happens, dex build is like probably the best thing to go for in Elden Ring. It is excellent, except for that piece of shit Elden Beast, that fucking asshole. But regardless, Elden Ring absolutely is ridiculously hard. But even though I say it's ridiculously hard, it's also probably the most user-friendly for the newest players. Because you can find some shit to help you. It doesn't have any walls necessarily, not as many. Where in a straight line Dark Souls game, like, okay, you have to beat this boss or there's nothing else to do. In Elden Ring, you can like, oh, okay, this guy's too hard. I'll go this way for a little bit, power up, and so on. It's still very fucking hard. Don't get me wrong. So yeah. Anyway, Elden Ring, very hard. Let's go with the one that, oh baby, I finally beat it. It's not the hardest platformer, but for me, it was so hard to get through, and I was so proud of myself to finally get through it. Even with a million save states, I finally beat Donkey Kong Country 2. Donkey Kong Country 1's pretty tough, but got nothing on Donkey Kong Country 2. Holy shit, do they ever ramp up the difficulty in number 2? Oh my goodness, man. Like, I could still barely get through this freaking game with the save states. It was relentlessly hard, and I'm not fucking 180% in the game. Whatever they want, nope, I can't, no way. I was just happy to beat the fucking game, period. This is a game that was there for me when the lights turned on, and I always wanted to beat it as a kid. I don't remember where I got stumped as a kid. More than likely, it's probably the swamp where I got stuck a lot. Forget the theme park. Like, holy shit, I never got there as a kid. And man, just so many great memories. Of course, playing it with the homie Billy. We would go every day in high school. We had a lunch break and a spare, so we'd go over to his house, stop in at the convenience store, Doritos, little Pepsi or Doritos, little Collision Doritos, you know what I'm saying? Anyone? You hear me? Fucking blue cheese? Bring that shit back. That was good. And we'd go play some Donkey Kong, and he would get through the game, and I never would. That's how that went until I think it was last year I finally beat Donkey Kong Country 2 for the first time. Thank you, Switch. Switch has allowed me to defeat some of the hardest Super Nintendo games for me as a kid. And I guess, I wouldn't put Super Mario on here. It was only hard because I couldn't fucking figure out the Forest of Illusion. I didn't know where the hell to go. I didn't know what to do, so it wasn't necessarily hard, Super Mario World, but I never beat it as a kid because I didn't know what to do. So I had no idea it was a fucking hidden door up in the sky somewhere. Like, geez, what ridiculous bullshit is that? Regardless, Donkey Kong Country 2, holy fuck. Definitely one of the hardest. And I can even shout out Donkey Kong Country Returns on the Wii. That game was fucking hard too, man. I actually have a Let's Play of that game on my YouTube channel. Please don't go and watch it. It's old and just not any good. And I'm hella annoying. I'm so annoying. But, man, yeah, that game was hard. I remember I rented it from Blockbuster and I had a mission. I'm like, I gotta beat this thing in a week or whatever, however long I had it. And fuck, it was hard. There's like, it's one of those games though, like once you do get through it, and I went through the game again, it was incredibly easy. Like, once you figure out the boss patterns, like, yeah, it wasn't too bad, but fuck, some of those rocket levels, like, you're flying on that rocket, holy fuck. fuck, those levels were really, really difficult. And I can't wait. I got Tropical Freeze on my wish list. It's on my hit list. I will get that game someday. I know it's a must play. I gotta get there. And that'll probably be on the next list one of these days when I do the next hardest games list. But yeah, man, Donkey Kong Country games, really fucking hard. And I have not yet to play Donkey Kong Country 3. I hope to get that one done this year, but I hear it's definitely not as hard as Donkey Kong Country 2. All right, we move on. Now we're at the final two, the big hitters. These games were fucking ridiculous. Hollow Knight. Come on, Don. It's Hollow Knight time. Oh my goodness. This game I proudly beat blind. I had no help. Nothing like that. It was a game that I thought maybe I should go in with a guide and some help. Because I was a little bit nervous. It's a Metroidvania, but very difficult. The bosses are fucking insane. That oh geez, what's his name in the Soul Sanctum or whatever? That fucking piece of shit up there. Oh my god. I hated that guy. He killed me a zillion times. The final boss, the Radiance, forget about it. That, oh my god. So fucking hard, man. And don't even get me on the trials or whatever the fuck that I wouldn't even try that. No, I will never beat that, so I'm not even gonna put myself through that. But I know some people that have gone through it, and holy shit, I don't even know how you did that, how anyone could beat True Radiance. Oh my goodness, man. The game is just, every boss is hard, man. Every boss is really difficult, fun but difficult, I didn't that's why I prefer Hollow Knight, because I don't know if it was just, again, gaming is a lot about timing, about feel, about what you're feeling, and I don't know, Hollow Knight didn't burn me out with the difficulty of the bosses. I love that fucking game so freaking much. Will we ever get Silk Song 2? I don't know. Maybe, hopefully by next time I do a hardest games list, I'll have played Silk Song and everyone's played it and it's amazing and it lived up to everyone's hype. One of these days we'll get it. One of these days, I swear we will get it. But yeah, without a doubt, Hollow Knight is the hardest Metroidvania I have ever played. Actually, it is. There's some difficult ones out there, but for me, without a doubt, Hollow Knight, what is that thing? The Grim Reaper or whatever? That fucker was hard as well. I think that was like a DLC or an extra fight, but oh my goodness, the music. Oh my good. If you haven't played Hollow Knight, oh my goodness, what are you doing, man? Yeah, it's hard, but amazing story and lore. The lore is so good. I have to always stop and talk about the lore in Hollow Knight, because holy shit, so freaking good, man. Watch the video on YouTube. Look up Hollow Knight lore. It's going to be the first one. Watch it. It's 45 minutes. You'll fall in love and play the game, and you'll thank me for it later. All right, let's get to the final game on this list. And without a doubt, for me, the hardest game that I have ever played is a Sekiro. Oh, Sekiro. Shadows Die Twice. Another game from FromSoft, but this one is different. If you've played it, you know it's different from the Dark Souls. It's different from Bloodborne. This game is just, it's really down to you and the blade, man. There's not a lot of extra help. Yeah, you get some firecrackers and shit like that, but it is really mostly down to you and the blade and your skill. It is a highly skilled game, and I really wish I could have. I just didn't have it in me. I wanted to get right into a New Game Plus with Sekiro, now that I've learned the mechanics and mastered the blade, and there's mechanics like the, I don't remember what it's called, but there's a particular parry that you do with the circle button or whatever that I didn't even really figure out until end game. When I finally figured it out, I was like, oh my goodness, if I just figured this out, I would have had so much less trouble throughout the game. But there are so many walls in that game that stopped me dead. The guy with the giant fucking scythe thing, he was insane. There was that piece of shit fighting guy down in the tunnel that fucked me up. Those horrifying headless demon creatures. Oh. And then don't even get me motherfucking started on Ishin, the motherfucking Sword Saint. I think still to this day, the hardest boss I have ever taken down. I took him down. It was ridiculous. And that's kind of where I draw the line, where I'm still on the hill that I think Sekiro pushed it too hard, and you kind of, they started that trend of the 3-phase boss fight, I think there you've got, I understand it, I know, I didn't fight that boss properly, I found a strategy, where I'm just kind of baiting them into attacks, and I'm not sitting there and parrying the way that the game wanted me to, because I'm just not good enough. And I know when you are good enough and you're hitting the parries, I know that fight is incredible. But I couldn't do it. I couldn't fucking do it. And that third phase, homie's fucking flying around, lightning striking everything. I'm like, oh my god, this is ridiculous. So, from front to back, Sekiro was the hardest game for me. The levels were just relentless. Climbing up that fucking tower with those little freaking sneaky dudes scaring the fucking shit out of me. Pretty much every enemy is like, it's an event, man. Like, they're all in their way pretty difficult. There's just so many hard bosses. Holy fuck. And then I got to treat myself with the, what is that thing called? The Demon of Chaos or something, I think it's called. That fight, I wanted to have a little fun, and I made him kill himself. He fell off a cliff, and I win. So I was like, okay. I've seen the homie Josh. He's shown me videos of him fighting that guy. He's told me the horror stories of him fighting that guy. And I was like, all right. And I was like, oh, there's a fun way that I can kill him and he can fall off the cliff. Let's try that one out. I made it work, and it happened. And I was like, that was fucking awesome. I don't need to go fight him now. So there we go. Sekiro is the hardest game that I have ever beaten, front to back. Holy fuck. So let me know. Tell me your horror stories about the hardest games that you played on any console. Doesn't matter. Tell me about even games that you think were hard as a kid and you probably could beat them now. Tell me about the games that kicked your ass as a kid, and give me your redemption story. Give me the story of you getting your ass kicked by that game, and then you grew up and you kicked that game's ass right back. That's what I'm talking about. Oh my god, I almost died a little bit right there. I'm okay. All right. So there we go, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. I upload all of these episodes to the YouTube channel GamerGX Videos. Go over there and subscribe, please, and thank you. Follow along and all that great stuff. Drop a comment on the YouTube video if you want a question answered live on the pod. Drop a comment. Anything about wrestling, video games, or hockey would be preferred. I'll try anything else if you throw it at me. Don't know if you like it or not, but we'll see. And so what else we got going on with the pod right around now? Well, we just had that USA-Canada game. You might have heard about it, so I'll definitely be talking about that on the Hockey Cast this week. And regular NHL action gets started on Saturday, so we're back. We're done with the break, so NHL action resumes, and the news and everything will resume, and hopefully some trades and some craziness. We'll be on top of that over there. And the WrestleCast going to have the wrestling recap. I don't think there's any pay-per-views, but there's a bunch of pay-per-views last week, so you can go back, listen to those pay-per-views. Please and thank you, all that great stuff. And for the next GamerCast, I have no idea what I'm going to do yet. I doubt I'll be done Avowed by then, but if I am, I'll do a review on Avowed. And if I don't, there'll be something else for you. So there we go, everybody. Thank you again so much for listening. Tell me about the hardest games that you took down, and we'll be back again with some GX Bluff Game.